welcome back to our latest episode of Rich Lessons. We are booked and busy, and I don't even like to be booked and busy, but I do feel like we are booked and busy, or have been, for probably the last several weeks.
Yes.
And all I can think about as we kind of run through the city of New Orleans, planning an event that went very well, by the way, hosting several guests in a pop-up studio for Rich Lessons, which we're in right now. Yeah, we've been booked and busy.
Yeah. It's been interesting but good.
It's been good. So tell them about the dinner.
So we had a dinner for Essence, and the dinner was a curated group, invite only, of 50 women. And it was a mixed room. They were all business women, but some were business owners. Some of them were operators at well-known companies. But what was the great thing was everyone in that room had some form of it was a power connection regardless with everyone in that room. And so we had a dinner, cocktail hour before, dinner within, an amazing fireside chat with a guest, Alencia Johnson.
Yes, and Flip the Tables is her book. Go pick that up.
Yes, and hosted by Rita Brent, also a guest. Check out her episode.
Yes, we had a woman bartender. Shout out to Ari. Shout out to Ashley, who was our photographer.
DJ Rakim was the DJ.
Shout out to DJ Rakim, another woman, awesome DJ.
Yes. And it
Florist, Mona, shout out to you. Yes. Shout out to JP Morgan Chase, who are our sponsors. Danielle, Kristen, Derek. You know.
I will say, for it to have been our first event, I think it actually went really well. And the reception of it, even afterwards, when we sent the letter out to say pretty much thank you for coming, thank you for being a part of the very first GRITS dinner experience, was great feedback.
Yes, and Sheena asked me, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give it? I said, I'm going to give it a solid 8. And I'm pretty hard on events because I do love giving like experiences. But first one sets the tone. Next year, we could do bigger and better. And we know exactly what we need to do to make it bigger and better. Yes. So looking forward to that. We unfortunately had like over 160 people on the wait list. And so how do we also open up space for more women to join? So we're thinking about all this. So if you didn't get invited, don't come for me. Don't unfollow me on Instagram and all the socials. You know what I mean? We're going to get to you. We coming for you.
But what was so crazy is we had that wait list, 150, 200, and we actually didn't really necessarily broadcast it as much as we could have.
We didn't broadcast it at all. It was like, anybody interested in being a part of an event, and people responded to it. And then obviously we had clients at JP Morgan Chase that were there, and we did the best we could with the amount of space that we had.
Yes, it was a limited space, so we did. But I will say again, for the first one, I think it was good. And the reason I did ask you that, to your point that you just made, you are hard on events. Anything I've ever been to that you've done, birthday, wedding, it's going to be 10 out of 10. So for you to give it an 8 out of 10, I was like, okay. I'm with it. But I think you had the things that you said we could do better here. And same for me, I think. But again, 8 out of 10 for you is not anything to. So I think we're good.
And I also want to say, Sheena and I planned the event, and we decorated, and we did all the things, y'all. Never again. 10 out of 10. Do not recommend.
I thought it was nice that we did it ourselves the first time.
Never again. Anyways, more to come. Our goal is to have these curated dinner experiences in other cities as well, not just here in New Orleans or in the South, but in other places like on the East Coast.
The West Coast.
Yeah, so we definitely are going to continue to roll out these events. If you want to be in the know, definitely sign up to our newsletter. Also, if you're a paid subscriber to our newsletter, you got automatically invited.
Yes.
So go ahead and, pay them a couple dollars a month. You want to support us, so just do it.
Yeah. And also, the newsletters are actually really, maybe I'm a little biased because it's ours, but I think the newsletters that we do weekly are actually really good. We get good feedback from those too.
Yeah. So subscribe to the newsletter.
JoinGrits.com. JoinGrits.com.
More to come. So what else has been on your mind? We obviously did this dinner doing Essence. Oh, and there is a lot of conversation happening about Essence Festival and kind of what went on this year. And people have their opinions. Some of those opinions are like, oh, I think Essence should move cities. I think Essence needs complete rehaul of their leadership because they wait so last minute to release the lineup. And I actually think it's the latter. And I say this because New Orleans is the perfect city for Essence Fest. Walkability, the Superdome being right there for the concerts, the convention center being right there, all the hotels, all the restaurants, everything is in such close proximity. There are very few cities
that can do that.
Yes. Period. With, in addition to that, having the culture that essentially defines Essence.
Yes.
So you have all of these things, and you are the culture.
Yeah. I will say the walkability is number one. Like, I think of the chatter of the first, which is maybe they should move cities, even people who are not from New Orleans, people who are not from the South, they all actually said the same thing. You're not going to get that anywhere else. Like, if you move that to Atlanta, if you move that to Houston, you're not going to get where you can get so much in one area. The walkability, the restaurants, the vendors, all can be kind of on Canal Street up and down, and you get that in one spot. Like, you're only going to get that in New Orleans. So I don't think it's the city.
I agree. And let me tell you how I know. Essence had the festival in Houston after Katrina, and I went. And let me tell you, it was horrible. It was so horrible that Steve Harvey got on the stage because he was the host that year, and he said, "Oh, we got to go back to New Orleans." He said, we have to go back to New Orleans because we were trying to go to parties, girl. So say, you know how in New Orleans, you can hop into like 3 or 4 events in one day.
Yes.
Maybe 5, 6, or 7 events in one day. And at nighttime, you might hop over to like 2 or 3 parties. You might have like Amex throwing something. Hulu might be throwing something. Yeah. You know, so you have all these experiences. In Houston, if you went to one party and it was a flop, guess what? The next party was 40 minutes
forever away.
So you had to pick a party. Houston didn't work. They tried it. And then also, because I have some type of, knowledge around this, because I deal with a lot of mayors, and mayors are typically the individual that try to like court festivals and events to the city, that I know that Essence tried to test Atlanta's market. They were talking to Miami and they were talking to New York to move Essence to those cities before they re-signed their last contract with the Superdome and the Convention Center. It ain't work.
It didn't work.
Because New Orleans is the best city for Essence Fest. Point blank, period. Now, all the other stuff they need to work out
has nothing to do with New Orleans, though.
Has nothing to do with New Orleans.
That's team. That's internal. That has nothing to do with the city.
Exactly.
I mean, I think one of the number one complaints that I heard, mind you, I went to Essence years ago, much younger, before I even was able to really get involved and know what was really going on. But this year, being my first time really kind of being involved in the events, even for myself, the lineups coming in at the last minute, as far as like timing, people complain definitely about that. First night, concert ended at last person went on at 2:30 a.m.
Girl, let me tell you my bedtime. The way my bedtime set up, I cannot. I might stay up for Beyoncé to 2:30 in the morning in a concert, but I don't think it's too many people
that's going
to keep me up and excited to stay at a concert to 2:30 in the morning.
The argument has been with the way that the concerts went at Essence is, should they flip it so that the younger artists are later and the older artists that the older millennials would like to see is earlier? Because a lot of us, I like to be in bed at 10.
Right. And the baby boomers and even our other elders are going to be in bed at 10.
Yes. So what are your thoughts on that, though? Switching it so that the older artists or the artists that older millennials or baby boomers would prefer to see, or the generation in between. Do you feel like flipping it will help?
I don't know, because at the end of the day, there's only so many younger artists anyway at Essence. Like, you have Glorilla, who performed on Friday night, and she was the only young artist on that night. So yeah,
Coco Jones.
Oh,
and Coco.
Okay. Anyways, no diss to Coco, love Coco, but Glorilla is what would have kept people there, right?
For sure.
So I think in that instance, yes, it would have made sense once they realized that the show was going to run behind, right? Maybe flipping the order of different guests, but also I think it's like a respect thing right? Like, how do you put Glorilla after the Isley brothers and after all these people with these such historic careers, right? And so,
Maxwell, Isley brothers, Glorilla.
when you have surpassed the people that came before you, I think that's how it might be a little disrespectful. But either way, I think if they just run on time, it could be smoother and we won't be having the conversation around like Essence. And I do agree with you. You have to roll out a lineup like months in advance because Essence Fest is celebrating like 30 plus years. 30 plus years, there weren't all these festivals, that people had options. This year alone, you have so many concerts. If you look at my Ticketmaster app, I literally have 3 concerts booked that I've already paid for. Some people are not going to be able to afford to go spend money to see Beyonce, to go and spend money with
Beyonce and Brandy are coming. Brandy and Monica are coming.
Like thousands of dollars. Our concerts in the U.S. are so expensive now. And you might want to go to Coachella one year. You might want to go to this festival.
Made in America, the
Roots Festival. It's so many festivals. Who is waiting a month or so before, a festival to release the lineup?
And the economy is also changing. So again, Beyonce, I won't even say what I paid for my Beyonce ticket because I got it when they were doing dynamic pricing. That's a whole other conversation that I don't want. It makes me feel away. Brandy and Monica, I'm definitely going to. Even with the younger artists, to your point, my nephew wants to go see NBA YoungBoy. And I was like, why is this ticket
they love him.
Much money? I'm not paying for it. But my point is, I'm in agreement with you. And to that point, I want to say that the other argument that I often heard about Essence Fest this year was people were saying, I feel like we're having the same lineup. Like in the last 5 to 7 years, I feel like we're doing a recycle of the same lineup. Give us some new people. We need new people.
And to get new people, you gotta book people earlier and get on their schedule, particularly when they are touring. And I feel like everybody's touring, trying to get this bag.
Well, and that's the thing because Spotify, people are not making money from CDs anymore. So it's not like I'm making money literally off my music by just streaming it. When you sold a CD, you got your 10 cent, 15 cent, 20 cent, whatever your deal was with your label. That doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
So you make your money through touring. So I think that makes a difference. But again, I think the one thing I consistently heard was we need new people. We need different names. I'm tired of seeing the exact same people every 2 years, every 3 years.
Yeah. And the other thing is convention center. So the big, controversy at the convention center was Target. And you didn't see the exhibit.
I did not.
You did not see Target's activation in the convention center. I went because I needed to see it. Also went to go support my friend. Shout out to Kim. But I passed by Target's activation. Girl, it didn't even look like Target. They took their big bright red with the big Target sign. It was not there. No, They made their color pink. So the bold red that you see and know is Target, they turned to pink. It looked like the Good Morning America, like half rainbow. And so they basically hid, right, a little bit. And so I think that they were trying to combat a lot of the negativity if they were trying to like bold and bright, which is usually the Target setup at the convention center. You see that big Target sign as soon as you walk in.
Yeah.
No. When I tell you, you would not have known it was Target until you fully walked into the activation.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on, you have some people who are saying, I'm not going to Essence this year because they didn't drop Target as their main sponsor. Now, you and I both know and understand business. So it's a two-sided coin, as we like to say.
Yes.
It's not as easy to pull out your main sponsor or there's contracts in place. So I get some people who are saying, like, I'm standing on business. Like, if Target's part of it, I'm not going. But it's also, truthfully, business-wise, it's not as easy just to dump your main sponsor. Especially, who knows how the contract, number one. 2, how much money have they already put in or you've already spent of the money that they put in that maybe you can't afford to necessarily give back. Not saying they can't afford as a whole, but for the budget you have for Essence, have you already spent that money? Because now I don't have the money to give back.
Yeah. So my hot take on it is I have not been into Target since like last year. And so 10 toes down on the boycott, keep it going. However, I do believe that Essence should not have tried to break their contract with Target. Like, you are in a contractor agreement for however many years to have Target at your convention center, you know, and people think that Essence just got all this money. Essence be fighting to get out of the red every year. I don't think people realize. I saw comments like, well, why don't they just get a bunch of Black millionaires to put up the money that Target would have gave?
It don't work like that. This does not work like that.
It does not work like that, people, at all. So I actually don't think they should have broke the contract. However, I do feel that people still should not have visited Target's booth, right? And let me tell you, the booth was popping. And my makeup artist turned down the opportunity to do makeup at their activation this year. So she was asked to put together a team of makeup artists because they were doing people's makeup and hair. And she turned it down because she was sticking with the boycott.
So I saw a comment, which I wasn't really against. The comment said they felt that if they were going to keep Target as a sponsor, why not also invite the CEO to come in and have a conversation with him?
Now, do you think the CEO of Target about to come to Essence? He ain't never been to Essence in his life. You think this man about to come to Essence and have a target on his back, literally a target on his back? There is no possible way this man would step his foot at Essence.
I mean, I don't think he would have come to Essence. I will say that maybe I'm not surprised, but the fact that it has been confirmed that they have lost quite a bit of money and that his salary or his bonus was taken away. I would think something would have happened by now. I don't know.
Sheena,
money matters.
Clearly not. Like, at the end of the day, Target, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, Mark Morial, all these people have tried to meet with Target's CEO, and the man basically said, I'm standing on what we said, right? Like, we are continuously going to pull out Black, brown, minority brands off the shelves. Also, LGBTQ community pulling their stuff off the shelves. We're pulling all y'all off the shelves. So now you got conservatives mad at you for even putting them on the shelves. So they boycotted you back in 2020. Now it done flipped. And so now the other side boycotting you because you're pulling back on your promise, right?
Yes.
And going back to the beginning, Target is based in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was murdered. So why, of all the companies to pull back on your efforts, why would you have the audacity to think that nobody was going to come for you?
And you made the promises. We didn't ask for them.
Exactly. Right. And they did the right thing. So now it's like, okay, the climate shifted. Now you want to double back on what you said and not, double down on it. So, Target, until further notice, at this point, I may never need to ever have to shop at Target again because I don't even remember what I used to buy there.
So we want to get back to the festivals and all that, but I am sticking to that really quickly. What are your thoughts on when people say, well, everybody's 10 toes down against Target, but what about everybody else?
What about them? So the reason why, and I keep saying this, the reason why I singled out Target is because they are based in Minneapolis and because that is where George Floyd was murdered. So you dedicated all of this money to that community, right? The entire world is looking down on that community. And so for Target to pull out after all the efforts, after they essentially were kind of like the liberal brand, they had put themselves out there like that. So that's why I think Target is being singled out across all the brands. Now, should other brands also be probably, right?
Yeah, people are like, what? You still use Amazon. You still, going to McDonald's. You're still using Walmart. So some people have the argument of why Target and not everyone else.
Yeah, and I think you have people like Apple, Sephora, Google, so other people who basically said, no, we're keeping our DEI policies in place, Costco. And honestly, I think Target just pulled the gun. I think they literally just pulled the trigger too soon. And maybe had they known these other companies were going to keep their policies And those other companies probably say, let's just wait and see what happens. And they saw like the drastic fallout that they knew that from a consumer side that they were going to be the darlings if they kept their policies.
Because I think you're right. It only takes one to say we don't care about whatever you have, and we saw it in education with Harvard.
Yes.
Because I think Columbia pulled out of their DEI, and then Harvard was supposed to be next, and Harvard was like, no,
we are not going to do that. Columbia obviously doesn't have as large endowments as Harvard. Yeah. However, I know Harvard felt the pressure to like cave as well. And at the end of the day, Columbia still got hit.
It did.
It's like they fired people. They were just like doing everything that needed to be done. And they still are getting hit left and right? So it doesn't say, even if you pull those things, that people aren't going to come after you.
Yeah. And as large of an endowment that Harvard has, by them standing up and saying, we don't care what you say, like, we're good, people was donating like crazy to Harvard.
Yes,
as much money as they have, simply because they said, we're not caving.
Crumble. Yeah, AT&T, their CEO came out and was like, yeah, no, we're going to keep on doing what we're doing. Who else? It was several people that came out and was like, yeah, no, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. JP Morgan Chase, shout out to them again, our sponsors, because they be over there doing what they need to do. We see
so y'all. All that to say, if this is still going on, do you feel like in between now, or shall I say essence of 2025 and essence of 2026, do you think there needs to be a change?
I think that everything needs to happen earlier. Also, I don't like the restrictions on the clean zones. So Essence have gone before City Council in New Orleans and essentially created what is now called clean zones. That means that during Essence, within a certain radius, basically downtown, uptown, Lower Garden District, you cannot have events around Essence unless you pay Essence to have those events. And that's why a lot of brands that used to come to New Orleans and activate, similar to like what happens during the Super Bowl, have now not come to New Orleans to activate because they don't want to give Essence like $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever the price is to activate outside of the convention center in like a house, right? Like you would see at South by Southwest or somewhere. Now, I think that's also a mistake because I think it's a good thing. Even if people aren't coming to your city to go to Essence Fest, just having people coming in the name of Essence Fest to your city, and people say, yeah, we're going to Essence Fest, it's so much fun. You know, we went to the Hulu House and they were giving away this. All that creates the excitement that draws more people to Essence. So I do feel like that's a mistake that if they just fix a couple of things, we could get back on track. So can we just fix a couple things?
Because Essence essentially is always been a huge deal. I think it's always been great to see the power of Black people come together, and the stages, and the empowerment, seeing the vendors. So I think essentially it is a great thing. But I think it should stay in New Orleans without question. But I think it's those small things that add up to big things. I think if they made those adjustments, I think the criticism of Essence Festival will shift.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
What else has been on your mind?
Concerts. So I went to see Beyonce. I was there when it was leaning.
She was in Houston, not going.
When it was at Houston, it was leaning. I will say the most interesting thing is she's such a professional. But I knew, so the car was literally right above my head. So we were like section 100, and it was like between the floor and right there at 100 is when it was leaning. And of course, for those that have been to a concert outside of Houston before she dropped it the second night, she sings 16 Carriages in the car. And I could tell in her voice that it was kind of changing. Like she was trying to keep it very professional. And then she was just like, stop. And I was like, for Beyonce to say stop in the middle of a concert.
She said, y'all trying to kill me.
You already know, like,
so I hate that stadium. I told you, that stadium is like whack.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if anybody got fired. Maybe so, maybe not. But like just being right there, it looks like the cables just like froze. Like, and so at the end of the day, I'm glad nothing happened worse than that it did. But I think for Beyonce to stop a concert which she really didn't have a choice at that point. She was literally stuck in the air sideways. Glad once again, glad nothing happened. But that was an interesting piece for me this year, was being able to see that. But great concert, by the way, for her to still be able to do what she does. Absolutely amazing concert.
Yeah, so I actually went to night 2 that Sunday in Houston as well. She did not get back on in that car. And in fact, she didn't even do 14 Carats, which is one of my favorite songs on Cowboy Carter, by the way, because she didn't want to get back in that. We said you could at least sung it on the stage. One thing, I agree with you that like Beyonce's performance level as someone like in her 40s is crazy.
Crazy.
Like, and for almost 3 hours. Like she performed straight for almost 3 hours. It's literally an experience that if no one has ever saw Beyonce in person, they should. And you know, my best friend and I, we've seen every Beyonce concert to date. So we definitely try to keep it going. But I will say, a girl looked tired. Like,
you think so?
100%. Like, I was like, I hope after this concert, she takes a rest before she goes into Act 3. So Act 3 is coming, and it is going to be allegedly rock and roll. But she needs to take off. She needs to come back in 2027. She could drop the album in 2026. But please, Beyonce, please, for our wallet's sake, do not go on tour next year. I cannot do 3 years.
I think Beyonce is one of the few artists of today, though, that could take a break for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and come back and someone's still going to pay whatever.
Oh, yeah.
To see.
Now, let me, I'm going to still pay the piper, you know what I'm saying? But I think for her sake, she should take a break.
Take a break.
And come back in 2027.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree. But like I said, she's one of the few. I mean, think about it. Rihanna has not put an album out in how long? And yet, when she did Super Bowl, it was, people were tuning in as if she had a new album coming out. I don't think we're ever going to get the album, by the way.
First of all, Rihanna got products, baby. That's how she make her money. Beyonce got a tour because that's how she make her money. Although I heard Sacred is doing well.
I think Sacred, because unfortunately, a lot of her prior products have not just scaled in that way. Ivy Park didn't scale that way. Was it House of Their Young didn't scale that way? But I think Sacred is probably the first one.
Probably her most successful product.
Most successful. But to your point, Rihanna
said, baby,
Fenty's is
why? I'm already a billionaire.
So speaking of Beyonce, though, we're talking about festivals and concerts. The argument of Kelly being the opening act.
For Brandy and Monica?
Yeah.
All right. But before we skip over to Brandy and Monica, I do want to say that I am for Beyonce doing Act 3 because particularly it being rock and roll. Although I would like some like indie music, R&B, like that would be nice, Beyonce. But I get why she's doing rock and roll, right? There was a comment someone said about, so a guy that's on, I forget the country artist's name.
I saw
But he was mad because Beyonce was like, right now she's still trending in top 5. She's number 3 right now in the country charts. And so the Grammys actually created a second category in country music because of Beyonce. So now it's like alternative country and traditional country or something like that. And they did it because Beyonce won Best Country Album in the Grammys. And like the country world like threw a fit. But this guy was on stage at his performance.
At a bar
the other night.
Stadiums, bar. Stadiums,
this is
bar.
Crazy you have to be to think that your album, as you perform in this bar,
Stadiums,
and this woman is doing a worldwide
bar.
tour, to think that your album should be higher than hers. This is the type of delusional that people have to deal with.
I will say really quickly, I want to say, it's at this point, I don't even get mad because you know the saying of if you argue with something like if you argue with a fool from a distance, no one knows who is who.
You and,
The lack of knowledge and understanding of history of cowboy and cowboy music, and country music, cowboys and country music, the lack of their knowledge or understanding of history, it's like, I'm not even arguing with you because at this point, you just don't even know the history of the fact that you're arguing about Beyonce, a black woman.
No, a black woman from Houston, Texas. But you think Taylor Swift is more country, and she's from Philadelphia. how is a woman from Philadelphia more country than a woman from Houston, Texas? But, you know.
So that's why I say I stopped even arguing or getting mad. I'm like, I'm not going to argue with you because clearly you just lack the understanding of the history, the reasoning, the history. So you know what? Go ahead.
So this is why I am for Beyonce doing a rock and roll, because y'all gonna stay mad. Because she coming back to reclaim every genre that was already ours. And
Facts.
So y'all gonna have to stay mad. Sorry.
Again, stadiums, a bar. Sold out stadiums across the world, not just the U.S. We in Paris. Sold out. So, okay, so back to Kelly. Give me your thoughts.
Kelly opening for Brandy and Monica is genius. And I'm here for it. I love it. And Kelly, people don't realize Monica and Brandy look good for their age, but Kelly was watching Brandy and Monica. You know what I mean? Like, they were bigger stars than Destiny. They were stars when Destiny's Child came on the map. So for me, I feel like she feels honored to open for Brandy and Monica. And their catalog, let's be honest, their catalog is way bigger than
Kelly.
And I love Kelly, but her as a solo artist, I'm confused. Where should she have been in the lineup?
Also, to your point really quickly, Kelly is such a professional, and Kelly also knows who she is. She's so confident in who she is that for me, I actually think she's laughing at people at the fact that they're even arguing about this. Because she's like, I know who I am. Like, me opening, I don't know if her or Money Long is opening, but regardless, us opening in general for Brandy or Monica, I feel like she's so confident in who she is as an artist, who she is as a person, who she is as a professional. I think she looks completely past it.
I'm just confused about when I saw it, I just didn't understand what the issue was. But again, you know, people will talk and say what they want. Let them keep talking.
Brandy, who's actually the closer though? I am curious of that. Is it
Brandy or Monica? I don't know. I am curious. I think they're gonna go back and forth the whole night.
I can see that. I can see that.
Because think about it. Think about Kanye and Jay-Z. Think about like those duos when they were going back and forth. Remember? If you remember like that tour.
But at this point, Monica's catalog is bigger than
Do we want to get into it?
Not because of that, because Brandy didn't make music. She kind of stopped for me.
Brandy's catalog is huge. You didn't watch Versus.
I didn't watch Versus.
Like the Brandy Monica Versus will tell you everything you need to understand about why Brandy is considered the Bible, the vocal Bible. Okay. Right. I am a huge Brandy fan over Monica, and I'm just gonna leave it there because it might be controversial. I know there's a lot of Monica fans out there.
I love some Monica.
That, you know, it was always a battle, particularly with, you know,
but I do love Brandy too.
Yeah, like Brandy's catalog is crazy. But also, here's the thing. Monica tours nonstop.
She does.
Brandy has not toured.
Yeah.
So who people really coming to see?
Both.
Okay. All right. Believe that. Brandy could have sold out a tour herself because she hasn't toured so long. Monica, I saw Monica 1 year 4 times. I kid you not.
Monica said she got to get the bag. Girl, ain't no stopping.
I'm like.
But they're doing, they're doing stadiums, but but the cities are not all like tier 1 cities. They're actually doing like a lot of tier 2 cities, even some tier 3 cities.
Yeah, they'll be in New Orleans. I'm excited to see both of them. I love both of their music, regardless. But I will say my priority is Brandy because I have never seen her on tour
live.
Yeah, I've never seen her live. Maybe Teen Summit back in the day, but I can't even remember if she ever was there. Anyways,
I've never seen her live. To your point, Monica tours all the time. Like I say, Monica be like, I'm getting to the bag. But I think there are cities where are interesting because some are well-known big cities. Your Atlanta's, but they decide to go places like Birmingham, Alabama, which is not a small city, but it's not like what you would think
people be in Birmingham.
Oh no, I'm saying I don't think they're small cities. I'm just saying like. They didn't pick only
other cities.
So I thought it was but that makes sense for them though. I thought it was
I think they'll add more once they see how those cities sell.
Yeah, I think this tour's gonna do really well. I plan on going. So
I already have my ticket and it was cheap too. But you know, we could keep going, but we must come to an end.
Well, we're gonna say so. First half of the year, we're gonna end it this way. Your rich lesson for the first half of the year.
I'm actually going to say something that Alicia said in her book, and that was to essentially have to rethink like urgency and not always being busy. So to work with urgency, but not stay busy.
What she say? Get off that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
I will say mine comes from you, actually. You know what it's gonna be?
I already know.
Stop the procrastination.
Stop the procrastination.
A conversation
for another episode.
I am guilty. I told you I have no problem with admitting my wrongs or areas I need to work on. I have historically been the person that waits to the last minute. I'm talking back in high school. I didn't study. I will look over that study guide before the test.
There's procrastination and then there's Sheena. Okay? 2 different things. Procrastination and then Sheena. She is the next level of procrastination because I can procrastinate too. You're the next level. And let me tell you, and then we can wrap this up for real, is she procrastinates to the point where it creates self-induced anxiety.
Not for me, but for you. But we're partners, so it matters. But I'm just saying, I'm so used to it.
Self-induced anxiety on me, and I don't like it. And I'm like, oh no, something got to change. Something got to change. I'm not staying up till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning doing nothing anymore that could have been done 2 weeks ago. Okay? I just can't. It's not in my mental state. It's not good for my mental health to do this anymore. Those 20s, gone.
I remember you actually told me that. I know we got to wrap it. You told me, I was like, yeah, like I'm still good with doing it 2 a.m. You was like, yeah, I'm not.
No. You talk about I don't sleep. Oh, I do. I sleep at night. Okay? Clocking out. Like we're about to clock out of this episode.
Till next time.
Thank you.